Make sure I'm all good over here. Am I clear enough for you guys? I want to make sure I'm nice and bright. Is this high enough? Should I go a little bit higher? Maybe a teeny bit higher. Okay, let's take out another book so I'm a bit higher here. Is that better? Oh, this little guy right here has to come like this. Hi, Facebook. I'm live on Facebook. There's some people that just don't like coming to YouTube. So, you know, I give them a little peek on Facebook. Okay, so who is all in here? Why can't I see anybody? This isn't, oh, okay, so I see. All right, so who's in here? Let me know you're here. Give me a heart, some kind of love, you know. All right, for some reason, I don't see comments. I don't see, who is here? Hi, Delia. Delia, you're always the first one to show up. I just love you, girl. You're the best. Thanks, Mama. Oh, you're awesome. Okay, so let me see. Who is here? For some reason, there's a little block. Okay, Nicole is here. All right, let me see if I can see that in the other window. I do. I see it. I see it. Hi, Nicole. I know you got things to do, woman, but oh my God, for those of you who missed my interview with Miss Nicole Hamilton on Cut 89.5, it was everything. It was phenomenal. Tanya, hi, Tanya. Oh my gosh, hi, Natalia. It was amazing. Like you got to go back and Nicole, if you could share the link somewhere here where they can go and watch it. I'm going to be uploading the actual video on my YouTube channel as well, but it was on 89.5 FM and it was just amazing. It was amazing. Oh my gosh, I was so lit up. I was like, we didn't want it to end. We were like, we need like a master class, okay, after this. That shouldn't have ended. No fair, you know? All right, don't fall on me now. Okay. All right. All right, who else is here? Hi, Jessica. Hi, Josette. Hi, beautiful. It's interesting because I have another screen open on YouTube and I'm seeing some higher numbers there than I see here. Not sure, but I'm not going to try to figure that out because for those of you who were on the live last week, yeah, right? It was giving me a whole lot of problems. All right, let's get started. So, all right, let me shrink this. I hope you guys are subscribed to my channel, by the way. Yeah, it's going to be going live every week now, which I have been. So, you know, yeah, let's close this. I love YouTube, by the way. I'm like, this is like super addictive for me right now. Like I'm loving this platform, loving this vibe. For those of you who've got a bit of YouTube fear, fear not, okay? There's nothing to fear. It's amazing. It's such a phenomenal platform to get your brand out there, to get your message out there. Okay, I'm gonna put this right here. I had to shrink my screen, sorry. All right. All right, so before we get into the message, hi, Sarah, beautiful Sarah. Hi, Bella. All right, so before we get into today's message, which I'm really excited about, especially at such a time as this. Hi, Allison. When we're, you know, self-quarantined and some of us are either doing too much or we're not doing enough. But before I want to get into the message, I want to say thank you for joining me live, for being here live with me. And for those of you who will be watching the replay, thank you. I appreciate you. You know, you could be doing a million things at home. I usually say you could be in a million different places, but you know, not very. We don't got very many choices. You know, it's from the bathroom to the living room, from the living room to the kitchen. But I will say, you know, you could be doing a million other things at home, but you're choosing to share this space with me. So I want to thank you. Nicole saying, here is a link, Elizabeth's interview. Oh, awesome. I don't see the link. Did you? Oh, perfect. It says show. Let's show. Okay. I don't see the link, but when you can share the link, that would be awesome, Bella. Or send it to me, text it to me, and I'll actually post it as well. Hi, Melanie. Melanie in the house. Hi, Melanie. Oh, gosh, you must be losing your mind at home, woman. You don't usually stay home. You're always on the road, working, of course, and traveling. But yeah, so thank you guys. Thanks, Melanie. Thank you guys. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you all for just choosing to be here with me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm going to introduce myself a little different, or different from what I've done in the past. I normally have this whole thing that I say, it's my brand statement, but I'm going to do something a little different. And I'm going to introduce myself by telling you my one thing. It's going to open up the message. It's going to start this whole session, and you'll kind of understand a little bit more of what your one thing means. And by the way, my message and everything I've learned about the one thing comes from The One Thing by Gary Keller. Everyone from Oprah to Dr. Phil, you name it, loves, promotes, and pushes this book. Okay, it is a phenomenal read. For those of you that I've coached and that I coached, just sat, there's a handful of you guys know how passionate I feel about this book. All right. So, my one thing. So I'm going to do my one thing. All right. So what is my one thing? So I show up to add value to women, particularly when they are interested in transforming their life from where they were or where they are to where they want to be permanently. And the truth is, there are steps to this. And I help them identify the skills to put in place in order to make a permanent transformation. And I do this through speaking and coaching. That's my one thing. Got it? Okay. So this is exactly what we're going to be speaking about this evening. Now, question, for those of you who know what your one thing is, you are super clear with what your one thing is, I want you to take a second and type it into the comment box below. And I'm looking for a couple of you, because I know a couple of you know what your one thing is. If you're sure of it, just drop a comment below. If you're not, give me a, I don't know, emoji. You know that emoji that's like this or like this or like this? Give me one of those, right? Okay, I want to hear from you. For those of you who know your one thing, you are for certain, you know what your one thing is, okay? Tell me in the comment box below, and I'll look up for it. Going bananas, that's your one thing. Oh, I thought, okay, in the house, yes. Yes. Okay, you're going bananas in the house. I know you are. Oh, I know. We need to have a conversation about that, right? So for those of you who know, and as you're typing in the comment box below, I'm just going to continue, all right? So did I always know my one thing? No. What is your one thing? Your one thing ultimately is your purpose. It's your purpose. And when you are super clear with what your one thing is, it makes everything else you're doing unnecessary or easy. Okay? Nicolette says, that's okay, Mama. You might have an idea at the end of this, okay? Right? So it makes everything either unnecessary or easy. Now, Jessica's saying health and wellness, right? So for those of you, you know that there's a certain industry you want to be in. And I'm going to get into this. Like for me, it was speaking, right? What is your one thing within the health and wellness industry? What is my one thing within the speaking coaching industry? I just shared my one thing with you, right? Delia, you're saying starting my home business. What is it within starting your home business that is your one thing? Are you guys follow me? If you are, give me a thumbs up if you're getting where I'm going here. So if I just say my one thing is speaking and I didn't tell you exactly what I do in the speaking and coaching world, you wouldn't understand what my one thing is. My one thing is I help and equip women with the skills and resources that they need to permanently transform their life. Okay. So you notice I didn't say transform. I said permanent. Why? I'm not into just transforming. You can transform your body within 30 days if you go on a serious diet. But once you jump off that diet, you're back to 30 pounds heavier to your normal weight. You can transform by leaving a toxic relationship tomorrow and be in another toxic relationship next month. That's not permanent transformation. Right? It's about getting in tune with what's going on inside. Why am I attracting these toxic people? Why do I find myself in toxic relationships? What's going on here? If you don't deal with that, you're going to jump into another toxic relationship. So I'm into, doing permanent transformational work. Okay. Now, I'm a wellness advocate writer. Right. So now as a wellness advocate writer, there are many. What is your one thing being a writer, a wellness advocate? What's that one thing? It's actually a brand statement, okay, that you have to create. All right. Now, for a long time now, when I am sharing pieces of my story, I am not using this platform as, for a moment to talk about myself. Let's get that out the way. Everything I say, everything I share is with a purpose. I'm going somewhere. I'm getting to the message. Okay. So Jess said, making a life-lasting change in individuals within their physical, mental, and emotional health through wellness. Right. That's amazing, Jess. And what we're going to do is you're going to dig even deeper. So we know what you do. Now, what you're going to add to that is how you do it. You just told me what you do. Now it's how do you make a life-lasting change? What is it that you do? Right? And as I'm sharing, you're going to figure that out. And like I said, the reason why it's important to know your one thing is because it makes everything else unnecessary and easier. All the other busy doing things kicks that out the way. So if this is my one thing, I need to be working on this one thing every day. Feel me? Hi, Joanne. Thanks for logging in. So for a very long time and for many years, I believed there was nothing that I was specifically good at or good at doing. There was nothing specific. There was no one thing. And yet I knew that if I actually knew for certain one thing that I was really good at and I put my mind to it, I'd be like super kick-ass at whatever that was. I knew that. And some of you know. Some of you have sat back and said, you know what? If I knew for sure what it was that once I discover this thing, man, I'm going to be so good at it. Why? Because you know the kind of drive you have. You know how focused you get when you put your mind to something. The problem is there is no one thing that you're really putting your mind to, right? For some of us, not everyone. And that's fine. And that's good. Okay. I've been there. I know what that's like. And there was a point where I believed the more hats you wear or you wore, the more qualified you are. So if you do a million things, you're a winner. And it's interesting because the last thing job recruiters want to see on your resume now is multitasking, able to multitask. They don't want to see that because multitasking is a lie. Any one thing you give your attention to, you're neglecting, abandoning everything else. You can't possibly give the same attention to everything, right? So um, now this doesn't mean I want to make sure that I make this clear. Doing a million things, I don't want you to think I'm talking about having multiple streams of income doing your one thing. That's not what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about being a hairdresser and a teacher on the side. Oh, and you walk dogs, you're a dog walker after school. And you're back in school for nursing. You're doing like 4 things, and probably only one of them, maybe none of them, is your actual one thing. Right? So stay with me here. Stay with me. Okay? When I think back to a time where I didn't know what my one thing was, I had an idea of what I was good at. I enjoyed things like writing and speaking were my 2 things. Like I was a talker, and I didn't always know how to use my gift of gab, but I didn't have confidence in my ability to actually do much with my love of writing and speaking. When I think back to elementary school, I loved speeches. They were my favorite time of the year. And I did really well with my speeches and my presentations. I won awards. I was just great at it. My elementary teacher might be here, Miss Freitas. If you are, give me a heart, Mr. Freitas. Right. So that was my thing. My thing was speaking. I loved arguments, and I never lost arguments. And I was just competitive with my, delivery. And I was just, when I think back to elementary school, writing and speaking were my jam. Okay. And the problem was in recognizing or seeing this much earlier, I was doing way too much. I was doing too much. I had my hands in too many things. I was a wardrobe stylist. I was a personal shopper. I was working at Mississauga Transit in the customer service department, which I loved because I was talking to people all day. I was selling Mary Kay cosmetics. I was selling jewelry. I was an event planner. I was a wedding planner. And again, it was all customer care, and I was able to talk my mouth off. So, what I was meant to do and who I was meant to be was somewhat wrapped up in all these jobs. But I wasn't clear on what exactly it was, that thing that I'm supposed to do. Those jobs were positions. Your job may be a position that you are meant to fill. They were lessons I was meant to learn. It was all a part of my discovery journey. It was my purpose at the time. Jessica, Revitalize is a part of your purpose. It is a part of where you are going with health and wellness. It aligns with where you're going. What you've learned just by working at Revitalize has contributed even to your desire to go to school for health and wellness. So I want to make sure everyone's following me here, okay? Mississauga Transit had absolutely nothing to do with what I do today. I mean, if you look on it, very surface based, right? On a very surface level. But it was. I was talking to people. I learned so much about myself in terms of, what I want to do. I actually quit there to start my business. That was my last job. And then I was, I took on a youth worker position at Father Henry Carr for a few years, right? But that was my last job outside of what I do right now with women and youth and girls. Okay. So it was my purpose at the time. And this is why I say purpose, your secondary purpose, of course, because your primary should be knowing God. Because your purpose, what you're supposed to do here on earth, comes from knowing him, right? But anyway, your purpose is ever changing. It changes all the time, right? Now, there's an ultimate purpose and there's an ultimate destiny. Okay? So, for a very long time, I was all over the place. But my passion was always speaking and connecting with people. And I had known for many years, that I had a passion for women's and youth empowerment. There was something about that industry and that field of work that just lit something up inside of me. And I actually discovered that. I discovered it watching and listening to speakers like Joyce Myers, Brene Brown, Yolanda Van Zandt, Oprah, Tony Robbins. I knew I wanted to see people healed and happy and free because I myself was coming into all those things. I was starting to experience freedom and healing. And as, the more I got through the fog and, I was able to see clearer with my spiritual eyes. The more I healed, the more I could see these gifts and what I was really called and meant to do in the world. I'd sit back and I would watch them. I'd watch them and I'd be like, man, I can so do that. I can do what Joyce is doing. I can do that. And as a matter of fact, I want to do that. But it was like this little secret that I held on to at first. No one knew. Nobody knew. I didn't tell people that I want to be a speaker. And, it was just like, I'll just keep it in my back pocket for a minute. So when did I realize that something had to change in terms of all the doing that I was operating in, doing this and doing that and doing this and, barely making any money at doing any of them. I mean, enough to survive. I got, my pay was great at Mississauga Transit, but come on, right? I wanted more. But more than that, it wasn't even so much about pay. I wasn't fulfilled. There was a void. Something was missing. And I couldn't quite get my finger on it. I didn't know what was missing. I just knew that as much as I loved my coworkers at Mississauga Transit and love my boss, who I still love, V. Clark, dearly, she's a great friend of mine, there was something missing. There was a void. There was no real passion. There was no real joy. There was this emptiness. And I would watch other people operate in their purpose and their calling, and I would sit back and be like, man, I'm supposed to do more. There's something more for me. And the initial awakening to my one thing, to my gift, it happened the week of my separation from my former husband. I knew in that week that I wanted, without a doubt, to work with women, to empower girls. I knew that. And so I started my own event planning business, hosting workshops and events for women and girls. And the interesting thing is I still never tied it into being a professional speaker. Because to be honest, I didn't think I was worthy of calling myself a professional speaker. It would have felt so weird even trying it, even though I was the one speaking and facilitating these workshops. And it wasn't until 8 years ago, after surviving emergency brain surgery, that I discovered my unique skills to connect with women and mentor girls. Like, it was so powerful. And I don't think that it was something that just happened because I woke up from brain surgery. I was woke. Okay? I woke up woke, right? So I saw it clearly. It was like in front of me. It was like, oh my goodness. It wasn't until I started to really pay attention, which happened after my brain surgery, to the impact I had on these women and girls. And I don't say that in an egotistic way, please, you know me, right? Frankly, outside of God, I would not be doing this today. I couldn't do this in and from myself. I couldn't do this without God. So he gets all the glory, not me. So I started I started speaking by sharing for free. Okay, didn't even know this was going to be my thing. My like, years later, here I am, and oh my God, my life is unrecognizable. But I just started speaking for free. I was speaking at youth shelters, youth prisons, women's groups, helping women, connecting with women from all walks of life who basically had just given up on hope. Women who were struggling with finding themselves, recreating themselves, really just finding peace. And all I was doing was sharing my story. That's all. That's all I was doing. I was sharing my story. And it lit me up. It lit me up. It gave me a sense of purpose. I can't even describe it. For those of you who are operating and you're walking in purpose, you know what I'm talking about. Now, the interesting thing is, and I'm going somewhere here, I did not go looking for this platform. I didn't go looking for this platform. I was basically fighting through my own healing and life, and happened to be going through a divorce and then living in a women's shelter where I finished writing the last 7 chapters of my book. A lot of people don't know that. And then, of course, my brain surgery, which scared me to life permanently. So the one thing I found myself doing over and over and over and over again was helping people, equipping women and girls, giving advice, inspiring them to share their own story, and not only to heal, but to contribute to the healing of the world, to their communities, their families, to talk about what they were going through, to forgive, equipping them with tips and tools and resources, everything that had worked for me, everything that was working for me. That's all I wanted to do. And as a little girl, I started this with my dolls. I shared this on one of my lives a couple of weeks ago. I started this with my dolls. I'd line them up on the floor and I'd pretend to be their teacher and I'd teach them and I would boss them around. Right? Watch this now. And it goes back to stuff that you love doing as a child. My sister, on the other hand, would play makeup with the dolls. So while I'm sitting there teaching, giving them homework, I'd put papers in front of them and I'd put a pencil in front of them, like as if the doll's going to just start like doing her homework, Like in my mind, those were my students. And my sister loved makeup. And she would do their makeup. She'd put marker on them and then wash it off and another marker for another color lipstick. And I remember this like vividly. And my sister went right back to the beauty industry. She was a personal trainer for more than 15 years. She was a private investigator for a few years. And then she went right back to the beauty industry. First a hairdresser and now a full-time lash tech. Full-time from home. She's killing it. She loves it. She loves it. She's also mentoring and speaking a little bit when she's doing that too. And she happens to love makeup. I'm opposite. I barely got any makeup on. I got a little bit of blush on. That's it. I think I might have some BB cream. I don't know, but right? So it comes back to, the bottom line is in the times you're not, pay attention to this. In the times you're not officially looking for what you should do, you're being a part of it already. And chances are, this has been happening since you were a child or a young lady or a young man. In the times you're not officially looking for what you should do, you're being a part of it already. Whether you're looking for that big idea, for what direction you should take or how to hone what you are already doing to be more you, odds are a clue is right there. There's a clue right there in the moments that you just can't help doing. Pay attention to that. What is the main thing you bring to the table? The theme behind that person you are when your lights are fully on without apology. What is that thing? I want you to picture something. I want you to imagine you're given a project. Okay? Imagine you're given a project. And maybe it's a work project or something in your personal life. Just imagine you were responsible for the entire project. Go from the idea phase, the idea. Map it out, put it together, work on it, execute it, measure the results. Just what part of that project would you look forward to the most? I want you to type in the comment box below. Facebook, I want you to type in the comment box below. Susie, Joanne, Sasha, Sarah, all of you. What part of that project would you look forward to the most? What portion would you feel the most comfortable with executing? What would come easy to you? I want you to think of, if you're a project manager, I want you to think of just everything a project entails, whether it's something in school. Think of a time you were in school and you got a project. You were at work and there was a project. What position were you most comfortable in or did you want? Which position were you like, oh my God, I want to, I want you to drop it in the comment box below. Allison, what's the position? Jess, Nicolette, Gisette, Jessica, Melanie, well, Melanie, you've got that position. Be the boss. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? It's a team project. Nope, can't do everything. Sorry. It's not that's not a good answer. I take over everyone else's roles. No, that's not good. You're not a good team player. That ain't good, girl. And you can't do all. By the way, Allison, you're not good at everything. Neither am I. This is why, ladies, we got to know our one thing. This is why you have to know. You got to stay in your lane. You need to know your one thing. You got to know your one thing. Because the problem is in business too, we tend to want to do everything. That was my problem for years. I just started building my team, and now I can see the benefit of, what that's added to my life, right? Motivate and bring the team together by assigning tasks. Okay. Assigning tasks. All right? I love that. And that's what you do at work, correct, Melanie? Right. So you're like the cheerleader. You're the person that says, okay, Allison, so this is your project. This is what you need to do. John, I want you to do this, this, this. Mary, this is your, so like the leader, the one who's kind of like assigning the tasks. Love it. Melanie, you and I are so much alike. All right? Okay. Now, whatever role that you are thinking, some of you don't want to type it in. Maybe you don't know what that is. Whatever role that is in line with your natural skills, right? So for example, maybe you love mapping out the project, right? You want to map out the project. You can play with the structure of the project. You can work past some initial problems, like problem solving. Maybe like that's a role, problem solving, right? That could be like a one thing. You create mind maps and give the project like an outline, right? Just right on, giving them responsibility. Yes, right? So imagine your team. There's a team there. There's 6 of you, and there's 6 different positions. There's so much to do with a project. What role would you naturally assume? Naturally, you're stepping into that role. The organizer, right? Melanie is like a straight up organizer. When you, even Melanie, your role at the Catholic Women's Association, that's your role. You're an organizer. You planned out that the event I spoke at the other day, hundreds of women, you had organized that entire event from beginning to end. You gave everybody their roles. You naturally assume that position. Right? So stepping into who you are, like step up and say, that's my role. That's the role I want. Right? Stepping into that, it's not selfish. It's not being egotistic. And also, it's not a luxury for when you're in a better place. Like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. I want to be a speaker, but I'm not at a good place right now to speak. I can't start that right now. Well, I want to be a personal trainer, but I'm not no, it's not a luxury for when you're in a better place. I want you all to get that clear. It's the key to what you're looking for. Because being the person you are naturally, some of us are in positions we shouldn't be in right now. Some of us are at these 9-to-5s that we're not happy with. And you've probably realized that more now with the self-quarantine than ever. Being the person you are naturally, authentically, will do more for the world than being a shadow of the person you think you should be. So when it comes to finding purpose in your work, it doesn't matter whether you're a millionaire, a CEO, a highly paid lawyer, a dog walker, a teacher. What's important is that you start off by taking the time to discover your unique gifts and talents, because that's what's tied into your one thing is wrapped up in there. It's wrapped up in there. And then figuring out the right place to use those gifts and talents every day. Creating a plan where you can use that gift every day. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to have a dream job, just so you guys know. I'm not pushing, go be an entrepreneur. No. I have friends of mine like Melanie who is very happy at her job, loves her team, and has a very top role in her company, loves it. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, and that's okay. But you can be in a job you love and a job that lights up your soul, a job where you are tuned into and using your one thing. That's possible. What is your one thing at your current job right now? Are you using your one thing? Are you tapped into your one thing there? Your purpose. If you love designing clothes, you have a passion for it. Like you think about it and your whole world lights up. But you're at a job where you can't tap into that passion. You're not designing anything because you work so much, you come home and you're tired. You don't do any designing at work. You know what that means? You are leaving a part of your soul at home when you go to work. And that's not fulfilling. So what do you love to do? What do you love to do? We already know we tend to love what we're good at, right? So let's look at these things you already love to do. If you love to write, you're probably good at writing. If you love crafting, making crafts like Delia, you're probably good at crafting. If you love debating with others, you're probably good at structuring arguments. When are you in your element? When are you most in your element? Type that in the comment box below. When are you most in your element? I want you to think of this time right now in self-quarantine. Most of us are home. What have you been doing? What have you discovered about yourself that has you in your element? Think back to a handful of times you felt the most comfortable. When you were doing something that just lit you up. You were doing something that you can get so caught up in doing it, hours will go by and you don't even know that hours have passed. What were you doing? What were you talking about? We are most comfortable when we're doing something that we're skilled in. We are most comfortable talking about things that we are passionate about, because that's when we're in our comfort zones. When I'm cooking, exercising, and watching educational programs, your one thing, Jordan, is wrapped up in there. I'm telling you, your one thing, the thing that you are called to do, that you are supposed to do, is wrapped up in those things. Jess, we already know your one thing. Talking about spirituality and veganism, right? It is not a coincidence or by chance that that's what you're in school for. You're studying something that is connected to your one thing. You know, talking about these things light you up. I see a different light when we're talking about food and health and vitamins and exercise and, the challenges that you do. Like you're taking on these challenges, a 90-day challenge, and you're doing it on your own. You run every single day. You ran through snowstorms this winter. You ran through ice storms. It is clear what your one thing is. The magic to the key to figuring out your one thing, to discover your one thing, is knowing your skills. Knowing your skills. Knowledge is power. Knowing your skills makes you far more able to build a career and to do meaningful work. If we are not creating meaningful work, we're left feeling empty. There are little holes in the world, these pockets, these holes in the world that only your unique skills can fill. Nobody can do it like you can. No one, whatever your it thing is. Okay? And when you find those holes and you begin to change the world by using your skills and strengths, your one thing, you're unstoppable. Even if something comes up and something happens, you're unstoppable. They can't stop you. Even if you slide back, backslide, whatever you want to call it, right? You'll be back at it because that's your God-given gift that nobody can take from you. It's just about figuring out what that is. So take a step forward toward finding your one thing. Take a step forward toward finding your one thing and living with the joy of knowing, once you find it, that you're in a sweet spot. Oh my God! Wait, Reginald, are you on this call? I just had an aha moment. I'm actually launching a membership club called the She Speaks Sweet Spot, and so I just had a moment. But you are literally in a sweet spot where your passions and your skills come together to help you be both productive and impactful. And maybe, just maybe, this time of self-isolation is that time for you to figure out what that is, to master that, to vision, plan, and execute what that one thing is. Just maybe. It's up to you. It's literally up to you. And when you find that thing, whatever that thing is, I'll tell you this, odds are, at first, you may dismiss it as not good enough. Right? You'll say, maybe I'm not good enough for this. I'm not worthy. I'm not qualified. There's a million other people doing it. I hear that so often as a coach. Oh, but Coach Bella, there's so many other people doing it. There's so many other bloggers. There's so many other influencers, and they're skinnier, they're prettier, they're cuter. Like, right? You'll come up with a million reasons as to why you shouldn't do it. And I'll tell you, the moment you get into that kind of thinking, shut it down. Okay? Shut it down. Because if that thing is calling out from inside of you, every time you see someone doing it, every time a topic comes up and you have a chance to talk about it, your visions, you sit back and you vision yourself operating in this position, this thing. It lights you up because it's your calling. It's your calling. You know, the Bible says many are the plans of a man's heart, but it's God's plan that prevails. When your plan and your vision is aligned with what God has for you, it lights you up. It lights you up. You can't get it out of your spirit. You can't get it out of your soul, out of your heart, because He put it there. And what God puts in you, what God has birthed in you, no man, no time, nothing can take it away. So whether you discover that thing now and you start operating in that thing now, or when you're 60, 80, the desire will never go away. Never. And so in closing, I want to share 5 things with you. How do I make the one thing a part of my daily routine? And then I'm going to end this call. I'm going to go through it very quickly. Okay, so how do you make your one thing a part of your daily routine? Every day I wake up and I work towards building on my one thing. My one thing is, I said, what I do, right? I told you in the beginning of the call. And how I do it, I speak and coach, okay? Number 1, understand and believe it. Understand it, understand what it is you're called to do, what it is you want to do, and believe it. You've got to understand the concept of the one thing, then believe it can make a difference in your life. It's going to eliminate everything else you're doing. Okay, all the other busyness, you know, you're subscribed to this email campaign and you're watching this webinar on this and that webinar on that, and right? So it's literally makes everything else easier or unnecessary. If you do not believe it, you won't take action. Right? I was up till very late last night working on my one thing. Every day you got to wake up and do something that's connected to your one thing. Okay? So number 2, shortly after you wake up each day, or like myself, before you go to sleep, write down the one thing you can do the following day that will make everything else easier or unnecessary in your day. You will work more productive and your life will be more rewarding every day. Every day. At the end of the day, you're going to be like, man, what a productive day. Right? So if your one thing is to build a health and wellness business, what does that look like? What is my schedule? What do I want to accomplish for the month of April? What do I need to do that is going to get me to this one thing? My one thing is building a health and wellness business. What is the one thing I need to do today? Right? So, for instance, is it building your website? Okay, you're not going to build a website in a day. What do I do today that's going to get me closer to completing a full website? Well, for me, I'm actually rebranding and recreating a completely new website. I'm having so much fun creating content. Today, by the end of the night tonight, I have to have all my content completed for a specific tab. I've already completed a few tabs. Now, by the end of today, right? So that's all tied into my one thing. I'm not binge watching reality shows. Now, if you want to watch a little bit of something, that's fine, right? But like sit there for 4 hours watching a reality show when you could be working towards your one thing. If you're super clear on your one thing, you need to be executing on that one thing. I said that like a real, you know what I mean? Right? Okay. So number 3, make it a habit. Make it a habit. Okay? When you make this one thing a habit, working towards your one thing a habit, you fully engage its power to get the extraordinary results you want, the extraordinary results that you are looking for. Research says that this takes about 66 days to make it something a habit. Whether it takes a month or 2 or 4, you stick with it every day. Ladies, bellas, and fellas, I'm going to say this again. We will never get back this time we are living in right now. Even if you still work a 9 to 5, the entire world is on lockdown. Everything is slow. You'll leave your work, you'll go straight home. You're not driving all over the place. Everything has slowed down. You will never get back this time again. Never. Make it a habit. Work on it every single day. Allison, you should be writing every single day. Jessica, you should be working towards your wellness business every day. Something. Jordan, for those of you who I know, Gisette, working on your curly hair products every day. Whether you're building an email list, working on it could mean, you know what, today I'm going to get 50 emails to add to my email subscription. Today I'm going to create a freebie. I'm talking about all those things, those tasks that you need to do to get you to your one thing, where you're operating in your one thing. Every day, you're supposed to be working on that one thing every day. Okay? Number 4, leverage reminders. Set up ways, and this is all stuff that I kind of like just use for myself. Set up ways to remind yourself to do one small thing a day. My coach Kendall calls it, what's your small win? That small thing each day gets you closer to your big thing, which is your one thing. I had a 2.5-hour conversation today with a friend of mine. It was filled with purpose and life. And so those 2.5 hours was 150% connected to my one thing. We were planning, we were creating, we were visioning, we were sharing, we were writing, taking notes. Yeah. I'm not sitting on, these calls, FaceTiming my friends. Like Allison and I were on FaceTime last night. It was purpose. We spoke about purpose, right? I'm not on these calls to kill time. Be like, yeah, girl. So, and there's a time for that. My sister and I get on these calls and we'll be like, oh my God, girl, my lashes are falling out. Oh my gosh, girl, my nails. And yeah, right? Like there's a time for that. You got to have that in there, of course. But if you're spending 4, 5, 6 hours of your day, these small days that we have, focused on things that are not attached or connected to your one thing, you're wasting time that you will never get back again. All right? So put sticky notes in your car. Well, you're not driving your car now unless you're going to the grocery store or work. Put notes around the house, reminders around the house. Write it out, frame it out, put it on your desk. Have a calendar. I'm a calendar chick. Set a daily midday alarm. So set your alarms, screensavers, leverage reminders. Leverage reminders. I'm going to say it again, leverage reminders. My alarm, if you look on my alarm today, my alarm clock on my phone, it probably went off 5 times. I set reminders and I named them. So leverage reminders. Number 5, recruit support. That's the last one. Recruit support. So research shows that the people around you can influence you tremendously. Now that could be good and that can be bad. That could be positive. That could be negative. So recruit support. I've got a network right now of supporters that are just lighting up my life. There's Lawrence. I don't know if you're in here. There's Glenn. There's Kimmy. There's Allison. There's so many of you. Reginald today. I've got a team of supporters, and you have to recruit support. You got to go out looking for support. If you have no one right now, go find somebody. you're on social media, you need to go find someone, okay? A great idea would be to even start a monthly success group. Success group. So start a group, start your own group. It could be a mastermind group. Just start a group, research it. There's a book called A Tribe Called Bliss for women who are looking to build a support group of women. You're looking to build your own community, or, it's a phenomenal book. And then you share the one thing concept with everyone to make sure that you hold each other accountable towards your one thing. Everyone shares their one thing, and you kind of hold yourself accountable towards that one thing. So that is my message on discovering your one thing. I'm doing a live next week that's called How to Execute Your One Thing. That's going to be fun. So how to execute your one thing. All right. So if you guys have any questions, drop them below. I can answer. If you want to reach out to me after or email me at coaching@elizabethcorreia.com, you can do that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are here live. Subscribe, turn on the bell so you know when I'm going live. I will be live every week, 1 to 2 times a week. Right now, for sure, once a week on YouTube. I go live on other platforms as well. And for those of you who have my book, you've purchased my book, or you haven't, every Saturday, I am doing storytelling Saturdays. And I'm currently reading my book. We went through the first 3 chapters last Saturday. This Saturday, we're going to be reading another couple or a few more chapters. I'm really excited about it. I was loving it. I got a lot of positive feedback, great feedback on that. So if you have the book, join me for storytelling time on Saturday at 9 o'clock in the evening. Come in your PJs, your favorite cup of tea. You like my mugs? You like my mugs? Favorite cup of tea, your PJs, and yeah, your vision and energy are infectious, not in a COVID type way though. Allison, you're so silly, Mama. Oh, thank you, Mama. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. I honestly do. Allison said website building is no joke. It's not. It takes a lot of stillness time. And this is, for those of you who are building a website or working on a website, this is the best time to build your website. The best time to build your website. If you don't have someone who can help you with that or work through that with you, let me know. I will put you on to my girl, my web designer. She's just amazing. Danny, I love her. She's just so rock star. I just love her. And her art is just phenomenal. But let me know. You can reach out to me at coaching@elizabethcorreia.com if you are looking for a web designer, graphic designer. And that is it. So thank you guys so much. I'm actually launching the She Speaks membership suite, SUITE, for women. I'm super excited about that. I'm going to be announcing it tomorrow. This is something I've had planned for quite some time now. I wasn't going to launch it until the end of this year, but being with all the downtime we have right now, I took advantage, and I've been plugging away at it. I'm really excited about this platform. It is for new and aspiring entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs who are ready to level up in their life and business. I'll be sharing a bit more on that tomorrow. So look out for that information. If you want more information on that, I'm going to be sending out some info next week. You can actually enter your email in that link right there that I just attached below, and I will send you the information. It's going to be the most affordable membership suite, membership club you probably have ever seen. I'm making it affordable for everyone because I understand what it's like to be a new and aspiring entrepreneur. We're going to be doing I'm going to be creating so much goodness in that space. Lives, Q&As. I'm going to be bringing in expert gurus, speakers. I've been creating templates and workbooks. The modules are amazing. I'm really excited about this. So if you want to be a part of that membership club, just enter your email below on that link and I will send you some information, all the details next week. This is a great opportunity. This is an amazing opportunity to grow in a community with like-minded women who are, showing up and showing out and really just coming into those gifts and their one thing, and they're ready to execute. So it's a great space. It's a great space and place to be in the suite. I got special services in the suite. The suite is very different from just a basic room, right? So that is it. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Hi, Liberty. Not sure if you were on YouTube. I'm just seeing you. Sorry, Mama. I appreciate you. Remember that there is a world of people that God has assigned to you. These are your peeps. These are your people. Everyone has a world of people that you are responsible for. These people, their healing is wrapped up in your story. Their breakthrough is wrapped up in your gift, in your voice. And they're waiting on you. They're waiting on you. No one can serve these people like you. No one. I got my world of people and you have yours. We all have a world of people. Enough for all, 9 billion? I don't know, all people to have a world of their own. A world of people that are literally waiting to be served by you. So the world needs you now more than ever. Take this time in self-quarantine. Take this time to read your word, to be still, to tune in, to reconnect with yourself. Take this time because we'll never get back this time again. You want to make sure you come out of this not 10 times heavier with more weight, but 10 times better than you were before we went into this quarantine thing. You want to come out of this a winner, ready to take on the new world. The new world. That's what we're stepping into. All right? So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I got my program built yesterday. It's a confirmation. Amazing. Beautiful, Miss Love. That's amazing. I celebrate you. Phenomenal. All right. So again, this is a time to create, vision, plan, and execute a life, career, and business you love. I love you guys. Ciao. Bye, Facebook.